Good day. My name is Munasha Naftalemupa. I'm here to present the cyber risk governance for Sendr Private Limited, a South African registered company that focuses on the last mile service business, right? So when we are looking at Sendr and its strategy on or its governance approach, right? This is mostly focused on the cyber strategy, right? And in relation to its transformation, there has not been any governance in Sendr as an entity. And therefore, this is the first time where the governance from a cyber risk point of view has been considered by the board of Sendr, right? And therefore, this presentation highlights what Sendr is going to do, or what I designed, and how they're going to approach the governance of their cyber risk within the organization. So in front of you shows the history and the position in which organizations are being affected by cyber, or the over increasing cyber risks within the South African environment. And therefore, Sendr itself becomes riskier since it uses technology in the way in which it operates its business. And therefore, if anything occurs or anything happens, a breach of some sort occurs, it means that this will actually detriment the future of the organization, and hence the investment that we have proposed towards cyber risk governance. Now, Sendr has got 5 members that sit on its board, and 3 out of 5 have been appointed to be members of the risk committee. Now, due to the size of the organization, we actually have not included a cyber risk governance committee because the risk committee itself focuses on all risks with the inclusion of cyber risk, right? And this is something that we are looking forward to doing in the future. But at this present moment, we do not have a cyber risk governance committee, meaning a committee that solely represents cyber risk governance. However, the risk committee of the organization is the one that's going to manage, right? And later on in this presentation, you'll see how this will be done, all right? So we realized that there are a number of acts of law that the organization has to adhere to. And therefore, we have developed policies to align the organization with the adherence of the legal framework, both globally and nationally within the South African environment. And we also analyzed the security awareness maturity model and realized that the maturity level was at 1. So we're moving to 2, which is compliance focused. And in the compliance focused, we are including also the governance aspect under compliance, all right, as is required by the law, right? As much as we have included certain things that are expected at maturity level 3, 4, and 5, but our focus was mostly on maturity level 2, all right? We did also a stakeholder profiling and engagement plan, because you need stakeholder buy-in when you are looking at the governance of cybersecurity, and we have not ignored all important stakeholders within the organization that have to be engaged. So the engagement plan is there, and most importantly, the shareholders have been engaged, and government regulation, customers, the general public, employees, debt investors, community groups, as well as the media. We are trying to manage risks by making sure that all stakeholders buy into what Sendr is about to do and is doing. All right. Then the NIST cybersecurity framework is the primary management framework that we look at in terms of the management of the risk, and included in the NIST cybersecurity framework is the governance aspect. And this is what we are to talk about. However, we are not saying we are ignoring the rest of the aspects, because these are covered in other areas that we have actually discussed in other presentations and in other papers as well. But this paper focuses mostly on the governance aspect of cyber security. Okay. Now, so what is it that we are doing as the governance efforts? So the governance itself is split into 3, looking at the 3 lines of defense. And this is important for the success of the cybersecurity initiatives and efforts of the organization. So there is the first line of defense, which is the operational core. The second line, which are experts that monitor or challenge the status quo of what is being done by the operational core. Then the third line of defense, which are independent assurance providers. So currently, Sendr, due to the nature of the business and its capacity, we're only looking at the first line of defense being permanent employees. The second line and the third line are both outsourced at this present moment. And the third line reports to the risk committee, right? Not the cyber risk management committee, risk governance committee, but the risk committee itself, all right? And the risk committee, through the board, reports to the shareholders, all right? Other initiatives that we took is we developed a number of matrices which speak to the balanced scorecard, right? And considering all 4 perspectives of the balanced scorecard, which are the financial perspective, the customer perspective, the internal business process, as well as the learning and growth perspective. So what we do is we looked at the objectives of the organization. We developed critical success factors and key performance indicators, and then linked those critical success factors and key performance indicators to initiatives of cyber risk management. And we developed matrices that speak to the key performance indicators to ensure that this becomes a success. All right. Then the management and reporting efforts of Sendr are based primarily on the NIST framework, as I've highlighted earlier on. However, we also look at the AIC triad, the ISO 27001, as well as the ICPA cybersecurity management frameworks, which are going to be used from the identification of the risks, right, to up until the reporting of these risks. All right. Now, we also do, in the management of these risks, we also look at the severity and the probability of the risks occurring based on the South African environment. And now, looking at the fact that the world has become a global village, we understand that we cannot isolate South Africa and Sendr as an institution that is based in South Africa, but we're also looking at the global framework, or at the global environment, on how hackers, as well as other unethical humans are doing out there in terms of cybersecurity, the security breaches that they are bringing in. We've considered from a global point of view how Sendr might be affected. And then we have actually carried all that and reported to the board that these are the potential exposures and potential breaches that the organization can face. And the 3 levels, or the 3 lines of defense, are managing these risks. We also did scenario planning and stress testing of the organization based on, from a cyber risk point of view, and then developed mitigants and proper methods of managing these cyber risks. All right. We also did look at business continuity and disaster recovery in as much as the risk exposures are concerned. And in our development of the business continuity and disaster recovery, we also did consider having backups and all that, and the governance of such, or the governance of the organization, in as much as cybersecurity is concerned, has an oversight of those backups and every aspect that is related to cyber risk governance within the organization. And that's it from me. Thank you so much.